enter. I'm gonna have to say it. Election is just a distraction. Write it in a caption. Caution. Warning to all. Vote and your right is no more. People hear this, right? When you vote, you are actively saying that you are an imbecile and you need someone else to handle your affairs, right? It means the same thing as if you are a citizen of a corporation, right? You are considered a ward of the state, a child or imbecile at law, right? Every time you go and you vote for some corporation, right? Especially the people that look like me, the copper tone woolly head Neji. Every time you do that, you're giving a foreign entity, an invading entity, the authority to govern your affairs, right? The indigenous people have no such reserves, right? We support no corporation, so there will be no voting. Is one of the reasons why a jury of our peers cannot be raised, because we are not part of their body politic, right? So, for the politicals who out there and have some of the tribe members' numbers and adding them to these group chats, although we told you in the chats you don't want to be a part of your politic process and all that type of nonsense because it's directly opposed to what the indigenous people stand for. You keep adding the people numbers to the chat, right? We try to be real cool and nice with everyone so we could give some information that would be helpful to you, right? Into making your life the best possible function it could have. That means self-autonomy, right? You can't do that if you go in and vote for some foreign entity, right? So that's one. Two, for the indigenous tribes out there and the people who onto the indigenous knowledge, there is a new trend that we must address, especially since because we, Caribbean and Alubera indigenous people, are responsible for that narrative here in the Caribbean and for certain other parts of the world. We must take hold of the narrative before it gets any more negative than it is. Now that you now come into the knowledge that you are the original people of the land, you are the owners, it is not now your duty to be bashing beings from other genetic pool, right? First things first, it shows that you lack a certain amount of knowledge, and second, is not even a nice taste, right? Because think about it, all the other genetic pools existing on the planet exist on the planet by way of the indigenous genetics, by way of the copper tone woolly and Neji, right? Be they here in the Americas, quote unquote Americas, or across on Alkebulan where our cousins and them sit at, right? So our genetics is a template for all other genetic pools on the planet, right? Our job is to teach them. Some of them in their cultures in ancient time used to worship us, right? They have their records still, right? So it's not your job now to come out here and be on social media and be attacking these people from other genetic pool and demeaning them and that type of thing. We do support that 100%, right? They are all suffering from tricks played by the Coppertone, no, by the Swati colonizers who invaded everybody lands across the planet, and they were tricked. Some of them were tricked into coming here thinking about a better life. Some of them were tricked otherwise. Some of them were invaded and pillaged just like the indigenous people. So it's not your job now to come out here and disrespect them in the worst ways that we hear, and I witnessed some myself, and that must be addressed, right? Because that's not what we're about, right? We are about reclaiming and restoring our right, our birthright, our identity, And when we established that we could do that in the most peaceful way, in the most mannerly way possible, without disrespecting anybody from any other genetic pool, right? On this island, they were tricked here to come across in 1845. Some of them came before that, the Mongoloid, or sorry, the Chinese group. They came across about close to 200 years, right? So they were all tricked into being some merchants, some for a better life, and they all ended up here, right? Some of them, for the most part, are more here than the people who were originally from here, if you get what I'm saying, right? So we do support that at all 100%, and people need to cease from doing that on the social media. This is what they want you to do. When you get your knowledge, to come out here and create another distraction, i.e., a race war or a tribe war or some kind of stupidity, right? So there's some information for you people. Election is just a distraction. Write it in a caption. Caution, warning to all. Vote and your right is no more. Playing with some words from Junior Gong tune. Big up Junior Gong anyway. You stand when you're ready. We could talk about the indigenous at your timing. But yeah, there's a message out here for the people then, right? We in a part of no genetic pool bashing. We identifying ourselves. Oh, and to those across in what is now called Africa, some of you carry a lot of feelings because we identifying ourselves as separate from you all. It is not to demean you in any way. You still remain who you are, but we are who we are, and we did not come from there. We were always here, right? So um, that should be it. All right, good. Everything is right with the ancestors now. Tamunafu said, Chief Min Waab out.